Hola, bon dia. Colin here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream, YouTube channel and podcast. Good morning to you. How are you this morning? Not too shabby myself, considering. Great night last night with the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club. It was a hoot, an absolute hoot, I tell you. We tried an Alentejo Red, which got a very mixed reception, actually. Was it mixed? Actually, no, it's quite sort of universally disappointing. Apart from me, I thought, although it wasn't exactly my cup of tea to mix my drink metaphors, I thought it was a very good wine, although not exactly my, favoured, not my favoured blend of tasting notes. Anyway, if you want to join us for the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club one morning, anyone from the Good Morning Portugal community or the Expats Portugal community, or anyone else who loves Portugal, loves wine, and would like to join us on that tour of Portugal, we do that every Thursday evening at 9 o'clock. And we are going into rosé territory with one of the regulars here, Gary Austin, who I called Gary Reality Check Austin yesterday. I don't know if that nickname is going to stick. Free nicknames to all listeners if you want one. And we had the pleasure of making Kevin's company last night, who joined us out of nowhere for the wine tasting. Did the whole bottle, didn't like it, and started on his neighbour's red wine thereafter. And he was great fun to have around today. Thank you for the prompt there, Paul. Hola, bon dia from a very windy south of England. That's Ellen, is it? Is that the tail end of Ellen? New Facebook page for me today. Good shout, Paul, actually. Are lots of people confused about their new Facebook page today? And is the Good Morning Portugal live stream working as usual? Do you like the new design? Not mine. Sounds like I'm taking responsibility for it, doesn't it? But I wonder, are you enjoying that experience? Mrs. M didn't like it at all, and I had a preview of it actually, because what they do before they roll it out, they let you have a go at it, don't they? And then suddenly one day they say, "Sorry, Classic's not available anymore. This is it now." Amid a lot of moaning generally, because people don't like change today. But I wonder, will it be an improvement? Will it not? Thank you to you, Paul, for that weather update, and hope you're doing well. Well, we enjoyed raising a glass to you last night. Morning all, didn't make the wine club, but did have a few glasses last night celebrating my new celebrity status, obviously. And you won't want to be mixing with the, what's the phrase, the hoi polloi so much anymore, Veronica. I understand that. Things change once you've had a photograph featured on the Good Morning Portugal starter screen. So, yeah, you probably just want to be alone and not be bothered by, lots of people wanting your autograph and that sort of thing. So good for you. And I hope you enjoyed your wine last night in your isolated splendor. Jim McDonald, bon dia, Carl, from sunny and warm Wiesbaden, Deutschland. And good morning to you as well, Jim. And I will look you up. Let's be friends on Facebook, like we were saying yesterday. So thanks, Jim. Good morning, Carl. Tagline. the nicknames are flowing. I'll go with that. Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Gary. Joe said, "Hola, bon dia." Hi, Joe. How are you doing? I believe you're back from your travels. I hope you had a superb time. Grandparents tend to have a great time with their grandchildren, don't you? Which is what I think you were doing. So I hope you had a super time in the UK. And I imagine you're glad to be back as well here in Portugal. So let's see what the weather's like. I was going to say back here in a foggy Portugal. That's how it is for me this morning anyway. Let me just tell you what's going on from my vantage point and my digital seaweed. Lisbon, 20 degrees, mostly cloudy. And that will stay like that. But there won't be rain today in the capital. Did you enjoy the rain yesterday? It rained all day here yesterday, pretty much. I went out on my bike and it was so weird. I'm just so not used to being on my bike in the rain. I quite liked it. No problem with that. Went out and had a haircut, trimmed the last few bits that are on my head these days, which was a lovely experience. First haircut I've had wearing a mask. And the barber was so attentive. She was fantastic. New town, new barber. I think that this is one of the tips I would offer, if I may, is when you go to a new town, when you want to get involved in a new community, women obviously, are quite used to going to the hairdresser, and it's a really good way of sort of connecting in with the community, isn't it? And I find the same with the barber. So I like to go to the barber shop. I like to get a taxi. What are the other ones? Oh, the hardware shop as well. That's been really good. But just, there are certain shops and certain professions that it's really good to connect with. And I think the hairdressers are one of them. So it was great to make the acquaintance of my hairdresser, whose name I didn't catch yesterday, but we had a hilarious time her trying to speak English to me and me trying to speak Portuguese to her, and having a haircut with a mask on. Bizarre times. Lisbon, 20 degrees, mostly cloudy, rising to 28 today. Porto rising to a high of 24 today and cloudy as well, partly cloudy at the moment at 17. Coimbra, 18 degrees and partly cloudy, 27 degrees the high there in Coimbra. I'm feeling that already. The fog is burning away, actually, as I speak, looking out of the studio window. Faro, 21 degrees, of course, the highest temperatures possibly today. Actually, no, on a par with Coimbra. And Lisbon has the edge by 1 degree as far as the forecast goes anyway. Little bit windy in Faro today. Be all those tremosos, won't it? So there you go, 21 degrees at the moment in clear, rising to 27 in Faro. This morning, fairly easy going, and quite predictably so. After the wine club, I think we have a fairly easy going Friday morning, just talking about the sort of things you want to talk about. And as a bit of a starter, we will probably talk about how the UK have now lifted the quarantine for people returning from Portugal. About blooming time, right? Good Lord. So we will probably have a look at that and see what's just skim. Because I do say, the Good Morning Portugal live stream is news, weather, and, whatever feature or interview we have. We haven't really done a lot of news this week. I thought I might touch in on, go a bit deeper with the Pimba thing that Pete was talking about in the last week. Pimba music, that genre of Portuguese music, because the Portugalist James Cave, who was with us on Tuesday, I believe, has written a nice little blog about that. So let's revisit his blog and tell you a little bit more about Pimba. And I did ask, what is your Portuguese soundtrack? Now, this might be your that you used to listen to when you were dreaming of being here. It might be the tune that you listen to on your drive here, or if you drive backwards and forwards, you might have a particular soundtrack or tune. It might be the one that you decorate and refurbish your house to, or it might be one that you've come across and discovered whilst you've been here in Portugal. It might be Portuguese music that you've come across. So let me know, because if I do a radio show soon and we play some music, unfortunately I can't play music on the live stream here because it will just be shut off and not banned, but you can't play copyright music. And I understand that, and it's fair enough. But you obviously then can't do a radio show with music. So I've got other technology for doing that. So I'd love to hear your favorite tunes, your Portuguese soundtrack. One outstanding thing for us. Oh, there's a WhatsApp tune, a WhatsApp call coming in. I don't think it is anyone ringing the show. Someone looking for money, I expect. So. Still ringing. No, it's not. It's gone. So do let me know. Portuguese soundtrack. For us, it was Sailing was one of the tunes by Christopher Cross, isn't it? That meant a lot to us as we were getting ready to come over, and we got the ferry from Plymouth to Santander. So Sailing was great. And then we stayed with Christopher Cross for Ride Like the Wind, as we were driving. We like a bit of yacht rock in the Munson family. The kids have it imposed upon them. And when you're a kid, your music tastes are often influenced, shall we say, by your parents, right? So the kids seem to like yacht rock at the moment. I'm not sure how long that will last, but yes, Ride Like the Wind was a soundtrack for driving through Spain. And then another one that stands and comes to mind is the Sol da Caparica, which is a bit of Portuguese music I came across when we lived in Costa da Caparica for a little while. Do share yours, please, and you're sharing your comments as well, which is lovely. Claire, how are you doing? Did you manage to get somewhere with the question you asked me the other day? Hola, bon dia from Claire. Hope that turns out well for you, Claire. Difficult situation. I can't remember. Think it was a nice wine. Can't remember what she was drinking last night. What a lush. But that's what celebrities are like, of course. Hola, bon dia, Carl, from a miserable start in the north of England. The sun is trying to come out, but I think our high is expected to be 19 degrees today, Claire and Steve. Great to hear from you, Claire and Steve. And I'm sorry, it's only going to be 19 degrees for you. But if you will live in England, thank you for making contact. Fantastic time. Thank you. Glad to be home. It's funny that, isn't it? Best of both worlds there by the sound of it. Neil Perkins, we raised the glass to you to say parabéns to you on your anniversary, you and Rita last night. I don't know if you caught that, Neil, but we gladly toasted and parabéns you last night, celebrating your anniversary. So I hope you had a great day and having a lovely little tour at the moment, and looks like you might have had a few last night as well. Or that's just a comment about us lot. Bon dia, wet and windy here, so listening from under the duvet. And I don't suppose the weather's too good either. I will not miss an opportunity like that, Wayne Barker, with you wet and windy over there. Good morning. Tenions un fin de semana fantastico from Owen. Yes, Owen. Yeah, of course. Yesterday we were talking about biting the bullet and learning the language. So there he goes. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. And if you are a bit of a newbie with the language, do try a bon fin de semana. Bon fin de semana. When you're out and about today. Okay, so there's your homework. And any other Portuguese comments, most welcome. Very good. And it's a nice bon dia, my dear, from Sean Maguire in Pedro Porquino. Shall I stop doing the Irish impersonations now, Sean? Because I was impersonating you as Boise from Only Fools and Horses at first, wasn't I? I think it's got better, but maybe it should stop. Johnny Nash, I can see clearly now. That's a weather report and clearly a soundtrack for Owen. Isn't it lovely how music can just, I don't know, take you somewhere immediately like that and remind you of a particular part of your life's journey, a particular part of your journey in Portugal. Fantastic. Thank you, Owen, for that. Tickets booked, says Wendy, 1st of November to buy in Castelo Branco. Well, fantastic. Congratulations to you, Wendy, on booking the ticket and making your way here and looking for somewhere to buy in Castelo Branco. Everybody with property to sell in Castelo Branco is thinking, hold on a minute, I need to PM Wendy. There are people here, I think, selling property in Castelo Branco. So you know where to send my percentage. PM me on the new Facebook, guys. Mr. Blue Sky by ELO is Claire's fave tune related to Portugal. I imagine you work out to that, don't you, Claire? With your Canadian military fitness regime. That could be a good one to work out to. Thank you for that. And hola from Stephanie Bennett. All is well here in Tavira. I am glad to hear that. Yeah, weather report, status report, fantastic from wherever you are in Portugal. And if you're new to this, if you're joining us from the Expats Portugal community and you're thinking, what is this? This is a lot of people who live or want to live in Portugal. And they're a really fantastic bunch. And you can ask some questions. Feel free to ask questions of people who are living and have lived in Portugal for a while. They will answer them here. They will. They will. Gary Austin, nice choice. My hero, maybe referring to Johnny Nash. I can see clearly now. Johnny Nash. What were his other tunes? Did he record? No, I'm thinking The Harder They Come. No, that's and Many Rivers. Jimmy Cliff. I'm confusing him with Jimmy Cliff. So, yes, say more, Gary, about Johnny Nash, please. Not at the moment, sadly. Okay, Claire. Well, I hope that does resolve better for you. And just a final comment for now. Yes, it's the tail end of Ellen, and it's called Len. Very good. My Portuguese song is Dia de Folga by the beautiful Ana Moura. Wonderful. There's something to look up because I'm not familiar with that song, Dia de Folga. What does that mean, Paul? Tell us more. Late to the party this morning has been helping load the neighbour's bread oven with chanfana, gallo and beef shin. That sounds like a meaty meat feast for tonight, possibly. Chanfana is a long, slow cook of goat, isn't it? So old chicken, and as the saying goes, old chicken makes good soup. Chanfana is goat, gallo, yeah, old cockerel, I guess, and beef shin, the country cuts of meat, right? The cheaper cuts, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Proper country cooking there, right? And that will be slow cooked and ready for. Is that for tonight, Pete, or for the weekend? I wonder. Wonderful. If you're a meat eater, of course. Great shows. We're considering a move to the Silvegia area to refurbish a house. Good morning, Colin. I don't think you've said hello before now, so good morning to you and welcome. Colin Yoms Clockwatch. Great name. Are you counting down? Are you clock watching to be here in Portugal, I wonder? Fingers crossed. We'll cross all our fingers and everything for you, Colin, and wish you the best in your journey. So, yeah, do tune in more. Anything you want to know, do ask this wonderful bunch of people here. Strong possibility of lockdown in Birmingham, but no London districts mentioned. Strange. Absolutely. You see so much information, don't you know, about COVID, coronavirus, as it used to be called in the old days. and survival rate is so high, death rate so low. And clearly it's people are dying, and that is a terrible thing. And I do not want to make light of that, but it does seem strange, doesn't it? The lengths we're going to still. Why, when I talk about COVID, do I start coughing? It's just a habit now. And a possibility of lockdown in Birmingham, but no London districts mentioned. I can't help but think it's a little bit of government control and flexing of muscles, but that's more of a good evening Portugal thing. Let's not get heavy right here, right now. Let's stay light and positive in the mornings. Pete says, my favorite Portuguese song from the last few years is Quem Madeira. I think I pronounced that right? Quem Madeira by Marisa. Very haunting and moving. Some great recommendations. We're going to have to do a radio show, aren't we? Might be a weekend thing, that. Strong possibility of lockdown in Birmingham. Yeah, we've done that. Thank you, Gary, for that. Means day off. Okay, that's a good thing to remember, isn't it? So, dia de folga, day off. Excellent. Really good. And Paul, we've done Paul saying means day off. Crikey, comments are flowing in. Thank you, everybody. Nice big comment, just showing my shining bonce above it here. Jay Walker says, I've not heard anything from Portugal yet. Nothing I liked anyway. Would be interested to hear some. You could play copyrighted music on the live stream. I do it all the time. Oh, wow, okay. Sometimes you get warnings from the big titans of the music industry. If you keep on playing it, the worst that can happen is they end your stream early when you start playing loads of consecutive music signed by the giants of the music industry in a row. I reckon a tune here and there in the stream will be fine. So, Jay, really good advice from a professional DJ there. And Colin is saying, hopefully, yeah, with the house, the refurb in Silvesh. Yeah, good luck to you, Colin, with that. Let's have a look then at, we'll come back to the comments in just a moment. Lovely music coming through. Fantastic. And we are looking at Pimba. Pete, you are responsible for this. I hadn't heard of Pimba. The Portugalist James Cave, who we spoke to on Tuesday, has written something about it. And there, of course, as you might expect, is an accordion. For those of you who can't see the visuals, there is a Portuguese accordion, the mainstay of a lot of folk music in Portugal and festival music, festa music. What a tragedy that's been, right? To not hear music like Pimba blasting out on PA systems in little villages this year, and the absence of live music and the absence of festas. You've probably heard of fado, says James. You might have even gone to see a fado performance while you were here in Portugal. Fado is an important traditional style of music in Portugal and a part of Portugal's cultural heritage. It's so important, in fact, that UNESCO have recognized fado under the category of World's Intangible Cultural Heritage. That's a really weird category, isn't it? But that's what I guess cultural bureaucrats do, come up with these things. The world's intangible cultural heritage. Pimba, on the other hand, has yet to be recognized. I wonder. You won't find restaurants in Lisbon offering Pimba dinner evenings, and there isn't a museum dedicated to the history of Pimba, not yet anyway, in the same way as there is for fado. But that doesn't mean it's not a big part of Portuguese culture. It is. Go to a summer festival in Portugal, especially in the countryside, or attend a wedding, again, especially in the countryside, and there's a good chance you'll hear some Pimba music. And he's got some choice cuts. Lionel Nunes, then it cuts off. I can't tell you what that's called. What is Pimba? So Pimba, upbeat style of music that's a sort of mix of pop and folk. It tends to get played at a lot of summer festivals, but mainly in rural parts of Portugal rather than in the cities. And you did say this, Pete, didn't you? Like the metropolitan elites look down their noses a little bit. Yes, and people are embarrassed by it. Pimba doesn't take itself too seriously. The key characteristics of Pimba are a fun beat that gets people dancing, simple yet often humorous and often sexual lyrics, and usually an accordion and cheap synthesizer as well. I can't wait to hear more of this. The origins of Pimba. Oh no, what's this? Get off, pop up. Can't read what's on the screen now. Excuse me, I just need to cough and have a sip of my tea. Shouldn't have shared that with you. There we go. Oh, lovely cup of tea, Mrs. M. Thank you very much indeed. Back to the Pimba. Origins of Pimba as a genre are hard to pinpoint, but a lot of people point to Portuguese singer Emmanuel's 1995 single called Pimba Pimba. There's a clue. Emmanuel certainly wasn't the first person to sing a double entendre filled country song. Kim Barreiros' 1991 song, Bacalhau Portuguesa, for example, is definitely not subtle. I can imagine a song called Bacalhau Portuguesa with sexual entendre in it, but that's not for a breakfast show. But the genre really took off after this song and got a name as well. So we may well have Emmanuel to thank for that with his song Pimba Pimba. Since then, Pimba has really become its own genre within Portugal, at least. A few people outside of Portugal have heard of Pimba, and it's never really officially been classified as a genre. Mention Pimba music in Portugal, however, and everyone will know what you're talking about. Although Pimba is distinctly Portuguese, Portugal isn't the only country with this type of music. Irish singer Richie Kavanagh's Un Focal Aile, I hope I've done that justice, could almost be a Pimba, apart from the fact that he's not singing in Portuguese and the jokes are about swear words rather than sexual references. So you get the gist. Do we try it? Do we try and give it a spin here, just to give you a little sense of it? I wonder if this will play. And I think I probably need to do a special setting. Let me just see if I can do this for you. So stop that, share screen, share audio. I'll just do a little bit of it so that in case it goes horribly wrong, we're not, our patience isn't sorely tested. But let's see then, if I give this a play here, are you hearing it? I'm probably getting an advert first, in fact. YouTube. Here we go. Nunes, porque não tem talo anabo. Are you hearing that, guys? Because I'm not. I'll dance for you, though. Can someone tell me on the comments if you're hearing that? Oh, I feel like I'm at festa. Saber pouco de agricultura. Quando vou à praça e penso na origem da hortaliça, matos, pepinos e grelos, só olhar metem cobiça. E porque a couve tem talo e o bacalhau. Okay. I tried to stop it and I couldn't there. So you could hear it. Thank you for that feedback, you executive producers there. A devastating drop in listener numbers. And Pete say, no, stop the Pimba, please. Come on, you haven't heard it all summer, Pete. There you go, everybody. An introduction to Pimba. Thank you so much, James K, for writing that. So back to Castaneo de Pera now. The slow roasted food is for lunch. Wow, dinner and tomorrow, as lots of neighbours' family coming over the next few days. Wonderful. I just love the sound of life in Castaneo de Pera. I'm thinking almost, like a soap opera from there. Some real characters there that Pete keeps us up to date with. My fave is Barbara Tinicoantes de la Dije Kashim. What's that? Say yes, please say yes, something like that, by Barbara Tinicoantes. Fantastic. Lots of things to try here. So that could be a new set for you there, Jay. Some Portuguese business. Sorry, late to today's program. No need to apologise, Yvonne. Johnny Nash. Just some Johnny Nash fans here. Guava jelly. There are more questions than answers. Tears on my pillow, of course. My husband promoted him back in the 70s when he worked for CBS Records. Wow, when there really was a music industry. Best decade for music, I think, the 70s. I mean, I love music from the 80s myself, and the when I used to be a DJ, that was the time when I was buying most of the music was in the 80s. But I think the 70s were the best decade for music. And people who were teenagers in the 70s were lucky people, I think, coming out of the 60s, going into the 70s when there really was a music industry. Money was being spent. People loved music. It was amazing times, I think. But there you go. Yeah, Yvonne's husband worked for CBS. Cannot wait to return to our second home tomorrow. Flights booked in 5 minutes after the announcement. That was amazing, wasn't it? When the announcement was made, no more quarantine for Portugal. I think there were loads of websites must have collapsed. The Manum's Muppet song by Gary. Thank you, Yvonne, by the way, for that, for bringing us up to date with the Johnny Nash back catalogue. Gary, is this what you sing now? As you're wandering about aimlessly around your man cave, just go. Actually, Linda probably does that bit, doesn't she? And you do the mana. Is that how it goes in your house? I don't know, but I shall stop now. I think everybody had enough Pimba there. Restaurant music. in the square. Can just see myself now. Yes, Jay, get over here, man, and do it loud and clear. Too loud, too clear for some, it would seem. Ferry, good morning to you. It is Friday, my writing day. So no listen to Good Morning Portugal. A writing day. Check him out. I want to be ready in time for birthday dinner with friend Peter Wilton. Is it your birthday today then, Pete? Happy birthday if it is. And Ferry, come on, what are you writing? My writing day. Is he a novelist or something, Pete? Tell us more. And come on and share a selection of your writing on the show here. If you really want to listen to Pimba and some very funny, unintentionally phone-ins, try this online radio station. Fantastic. So it's like Pimba, 24-hour Pimba on the radio, and people ringing in, doing that Mickey taking Portuguese voice. That was, olá, bom dia. Olá. Olá, bom dia. Como estás? And that is the Mickey take voice, I think, of Portuguese country folk, if I've got that right, if I've captured that right. Thank you, Pete, for that. Wasn't expecting that this morning. And 70s were the best. See, Penny agrees with me. You can't rival the 70s for all-round music, production, appreciation, the shenanigans that band. I mean, just look at Fleetwood Mac's behavior in the 70s. You know, that was how to roll as a supergroup, right? I'm not even their biggest fan or anything, but you could just epitomize rock and roll music. You know what I mean? Like the whole world of music and the rock and roll lifestyle. Let me put it that way. So yes, Penny, 70s were the best. Have you got a spy cam here? Yes, I knew it. Gary with his mana, and then Linda from another part of the house, especially after a bottle of rosé. Precious on Gary for you to find us a nice rosé, not only a nice rosé, but a nice rosé from Lidl by the sound of it for next Thursday's wine club. Looking forward to that. It was a blast too, party time. Is it like the 60s though? If you can remember it, you weren't really there. Is it that kind of vibe, Penny? Maybe you could get together with Ferry and he can write your memoirs of the 70s. How about that? Sounds like you had a great time. Not my birthday. Tim's. Ferry writes a weekly article for several Dutch expat groups. I'm sure they are. Ferry's a hoot. They are very funny, even with Google Translate. Superb. Very happy to check in on those, serialize those a little bit, Ferry, if you would allow us to do such a thing. Your pieces of writing that I've seen on Facebook are indeed hilarious, as are your comments often. Not often, but invariably into the live stream. So thank you for that. And yeah, Friday is writing day for Ferry. So let's have a quick look at the news then before we finish off today. Anything else you want to tell us? Your soundtrack for Portugal? Your favorite Pimba classic, whatever, do let us know. Or if you want to continue the debate about whether the 70s were the best decade for music, don't worry, everyone. I'm not going to ask you what your favorite sweets were in the 70s. I'm really not. Don't do it. Please don't do it. No one say Pacers or Spangles in the comments. Right. Britain's decision to allow unrestricted travel to Portugal, very important in so many ways, says Minister. We really should have a look at this. Let's get it up on a screen and begin to understand why. Or is this just another sort of U-turn of the British government, which they will just slowly walk away from as they walk into another furore? Newspaper word, furore. The announcement that Britain has finally acknowledged Portugal as a safe travel destination has been welcomed by Minister for Foreign Affairs, Augusto Santos Silva, who says it's very important in so many ways. It means that 300,000 Portuguese living and working in the UK, will now be able to come over and visit their families without the burden of facing a 14-day period of quarantine on their return. So yes, that is good. And why it didn't happen sooner, I do not know. It means that the 30,000 Brits who already live in Portugal are much more free to come and go. And it means that the many hundreds of Portuguese students who attend British universities are not now faced with a mountain of problems as the new academic year begins. Good move. Thank goodness for that. 300,000 Portuguese people living and working in the UK, and 30,000 Brits living in Portugal, and the rest, and the hundreds of Portuguese students. It's made life easier for all of them. The opening of the travel corridor isn't, in the end, all about tourism. It's about a mobility across the board, and for that, Santos Silva is clearly delighted. This from the Portugal Resident, another great article from Natasha Don, and the minister, who lambasted as absurd the fact that Portugal was repeatedly blocked from the UK's green list, is through July and the early part of this month, says the fact that restrictions have finally been removed is recognition of the positive evolution of the situation in Portugal, namely the capacity for testing on a large scale, the detection of positive cases, the control of their transmission, and their treatment in the most adequate way. Absolutely. And we knew this, didn't we? And could not for the life of us understand why. It's as if the British government were just needed to do something to make it look like they were on top of the situation. But nobody believed that. Look, and here's Mia over on the right-hand side of the screen. Learn European Portuguese with these interactive stories. Sign up for a 7-day free trial. We're talking to her on Tuesday, I believe, but certainly next week after Ask Diogo. Remember, on Monday, Diogo Bandeira returns. If you ever wanted to ask a question of a native Portuguese person, a Portuguese man in his prime, no less, ask Diogo on Monday. Though he's the expats expert, everybody. So get those questions in for Diogo. And of course, probably on Tuesday, Mia is here with her interactive stories. An interesting way of learning Portuguese, and learn Portuguese we must. Story time. That's very alluring, isn't it? Who doesn't like to sit down and listen to a story? So let's go just before we finish off to the Portugal news and see what's what on the Portugal news. We'll skim through there because, like I said before, I do say it's news, weather, and whatever features we have, but we really haven't been doing very much news recently. And maybe you don't want to. Maybe we just are not very interested in news. I don't know. You tell me what you want from the show, what sort of balance you want. I am led to a great extent by your requests and feedback and so on. And Gary says the first album I ever bought was Out of the Blue by ELO in 1977. Did you have it on blue vinyl though, Gary? Younger people listening to this will not know what on earth we're talking about. Those funny plastic things. Yes, you could play both sides of it, and they occasionally made it in colors. And I think Out of the Blue did come out on blue vinyl. I still play reggae from the late 70s, says Jay. It was a great decade. Yeah, for proper classic reggae roots. And yeah, man, simply from Owen, who would appear to agree with you. We're lucky to have such music variety. Yeah, 70s and like the 70s in England as well. What a time. Never mind about Cool Britannia and that cynical marketing ploy in the 90s. Cool Britannia was like 60s, 70s, really, wasn't it? Jay, I love Portugal so much. I would have gone there anyway and come back and carry on as normal, as I'd be at no more risk there than I would be in Cardiff Bay. Absolutely right. And yes, it was blue. I do seem to have a spy cam into your life. And a bon fin de semana from Paul, who I think is got other things to do now. So anyone who's drifting away right now, yes, absolutely. Bon fin de semana to you. Jeannie, and yeah, carry on with your recovery there, Paul. All the best to you. Looking forward to raising a mini with you, or a glass of wine someday here in Portugal. Bon dia. I love the humorous stories about everyday life written by Ferry every week. He's famous in the Dutch and Belgian circuit, perhaps. Can be difficult for English speakers playing with words in Dutch, I'm sure, but they are fantastic. Make your day good and immediately conjure up a smile or a burst of laughter. Wow, what a guy Ferry is. We'd love to read out some of those translations, Ferry. Young, Gifted and Black, one of the first singles I bought. What a tune. Bob and Marcia, I believe. Yes, what a fantastic tune that is. Young, Gifted and Black, Penny Albertella. We are going to have to do a radio show, aren't we? I think that's the way this is going. This is how it started out, actually. Podcast and radio show. Not a live stream originally. Just so finally then, quick look at the news. Anything worth looking at in the Portugal news online? I'll share the headlines with you on the screen. Let's have a look, shall we? And Portuguese president to the rescue. That's an old story. We did that ages ago, but it's still a good one. There he is. There's a picture of the president who swam out to that kayak to two ladies in distress. What a guy. Ryanair cutting autumn flights. Ryanair has announced it'll be reducing its flights capacity by 20% during the months of September and October due to forward bookings weakening since the beginning of the month. I think that might change now. Parents still in the dark about back to school here in Portugal. Temperatures on the rise in Portugal. The unseasonal cooler weather over the past week is set to change over the weekend with clouds clearing and temperatures rising. That's good news. Digital proof of UK residency will be problematic. I'm not going to go into that story right now, but there it is on the portugalnews.com if you want it. And emergency medical card available to residents and tourists in Portugal. That's cool, isn't it? And that's probably worth a quick look. Let's just take a look at that. Emergency medical card available to residents and tourists in Portugal. In 2018, Safe Communities Portugal participated in a civil protection exercise in Castelo Branco, meeting many emergency personnel, including INEM first responders. INEM, in discussing the challenges they faced in dealing with foreigners who were victims of serious accidents such as road accidents, God forbid, they mentioned the lack of immediate information concerning the person's allergies, medication, and known illness. The idea of an emergency medical card was born. Safe Communities then met with the GNR, PSP, and INEM, and a card was designed to provide this vital information. I'm glad I read this. The emergency card does not replace any official identification documents, but is intended to serve as an additional source of information useful to the emergency services and an accident scene. It also contains the citizens' countries of origin, whom it may be necessary to establish direct contact with, and the help of embassies. Remember, you may be unconscious. I mean, it's a bit grim, but it does happen. But this is a good solution, I think. Remember, you may be unconscious or unable to communicate clearly, so every second counts. The card is free of charge, recognized by INEM and security forces, is in English and Portuguese, easy to download from official websites, no waiting time, easy to update, and there are no data privacy issues. It can be obtained in a few minutes. Simply download, fill in, print, cut out, and carry at all times. The document with instructions containing the card can be downloaded from the homepage of Safe Communities Portugal. That will be safecommunitiesportugal.com, as well as the GNR, PSP, INEM, and through gov.uk, Travel Advised Portugal Healthcare. So that's amazing. That article there from David Thomas, who we spoke to at the beginning of the pandemic crisis. He's the president of Safe Communities Portugal. So that's worth knowing about, I think. And that's the emergency ID card for foreigners traveling in Portugal. And that looks like a good place to leave it. At this time, at this moment, should I stay or should I go? Says Gary, and I'm going to go, guys. I wish you a bon fin de semana, and thank you for joining me this morning. We'll see you on Monday morning with another blast of Ask Diogo. He was very frank with us, wasn't he? Especially how British expats used to be seen back in the day, and that's how I know him, as being a very honest and frank person. So if there's anything you want to know about life in Portugal from that view of how we are viewed by a young Portuguese man, and especially, actually, he's got a lot of insight on how to start a company here. He works at the PCE incubator at the University of Aveiro. So any questions about starting a business, he should be able to help with those as well. And he'll be very straight, frank, and honest with you about the processes. So looking forward to talking to him and to Mia and her storytime way of learning Portuguese as well on Tuesday, I hope, and if not on Tuesday, sometime next week. Other guest features to be announced, and we do have a social with Expats Portugal on Thursday evening. Now, that is going to dovetail nicely with the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club. Let's see what we can do to bring a few new people in from Expats Portugal after the social. Normally, you drink at the beginning of a social, don't you? But maybe we'll drink through the whole thing. I don't know. But we'll connect those two up. That's what we've got to look forward to next week. I hope you have a great weekend. Sounds like a good one in Castanheira de Pera, doesn't it? Today and tonight. Have a super weekend. Bom fim de semana. Ciao, ciao. Abraços, beijinhos. Hasta logo. And see you on Monday. Até já.